it's not legal to text and drive, to our knowledge, there are no laws against broadcasting while driving. Here's yet another edition of the Hummer of Love.
Stay on the road, buddy!
On the Thrivetime Show.
Hello and welcome back to another action-packed edition of the Thrivetime Show on your radio and podcast download, the Hummer of Love series here. I'm driving from the Thrivetime Show offices at 1100 Riverwalk Terrace right now over to the Man Cave Studios en route to record another show. And we had a Thriver that asked the question, how do you design every day? How do you design your day? How do you do that? Well, we had a great Thriver that shadowed me from Oklahoma City on Friday by the name of Sean, and hopefully Sean could vouch for this. He came from Oklahoma City to shadow. So we got to work. He showed up at the Thrive offices at 5:45 because my first meeting of the day is at 6. And at 6 o'clock every Friday, I meet with The Hub. It's a gym, a fitness facility where we've helped them almost triple in size in less than 18 months. So almost triple in size. The Hub Gym, it's in Broken Arrow. It's a fitness gym. Just search for The Hub Gym Broken Arrow in Google to verify this. And we've helped them grow the gym, dramatically. Almost triple the size of the gym in a little less than 18 months. And so one would think, wow, you guys must be doing a ton of things. Wow, they must be doing a ton of individual, specific, one-off action items. Man, these guys must be having a ton of branding items or a ton of print pieces. Man, these guys must be having some serious amounts of time they're investing in social media to almost triple a company in less than 18 months. Man, these guys must be really, really just putting in a ton of hours. Well, actually, the counterintuitive way that we helped them scale their company and to thus create time freedom for the owner, Luke, the way we helped them to grow the company was to shrink the number of action items. Yes, in fact, that's how you grow a company. You grow a company by shrinking the number of action items that you need to do. The goal, to quote Jack Dorsey, the founder of both Square and Twitter, is you want to limit the number of details that you need to perfect, and you want to make every detail perfect. Again, you want to make every detail perfect, and you want to therefore limit the number of details that you need to perfect. What you need to do is to decrease the amount of things you need to do. Instead of having every day putting up an Instagram post and a YouTube post and a Facebook post and a post over here and a post over there, an Instagram post and another post over there on Facebook and another tweet and a post and a LinkedIn post and a post and a post. Instead of having push notifications going off every day, bing, 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 bing. This is what success sounds like. Do you hear that? I think you hear my keys jingling, but you also hear there's not a lot going on. What you do is you have to focus on your daily key performance indicators, and you must get those done, and not to allow yourself to be distracted. You don't allow yourself to suffer a death from a million compromises, 1,000 compromises, from 100 compromises, from 100 interruptions. So 6 a.m., Sean is shadowing me, Dateline, Tulsa, Oklahoma, our office, 1100 Riverwalk Terrace. And when he's shadowing me, I was meeting with Luke at what time? 6 a.m. So when I was meeting with Luke at 6 a.m., guess who I wasn't meeting with? Anybody else. Guess who couldn't call me? Anybody else. Wait. Are you saying, Clay, someone might be saying, Clay, are you saying that you actually turn your phone off between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. so that you can meet with a client without interruption? And I would say, yes, that is what I do. Then at 7 o'clock, turn my phone on, whoop, and I call Thomas with his company, Full Package Media. Full Package Media is a business that has been able to grow from a startup to a almost $1 million a year business. They're on pace this year to be well over a million. They'll be a multi-million-dollar business now. But they were a company that we helped them from the very, very beginning, very, very startup, very first website, first logo, first everything, first scripts. And Thomas, we've helped his company, Full Package Media. If you Google search Dallas real estate photography, you will notice that at the top of the Google search engine conversation, the Google search engine results, you're going to find Full Package Media, a guy who was previously, not a real estate photographer. He was, if I'm correct here, I believe he was a paramedic, and now he is a real estate photography wizard on the verge of franchising. Now, how could you possibly scale a real estate photography company without doing 1,000 print pieces and 1,000 items and 1,000 distractions and 1,000 social media invites and 1,000 tweets and followers and following and liking photos and boosting posts and all these meetings and networking and going to every networking meeting around town? How could you possibly grow a company without networking with every single person possible, without constantly living on a world of push notifications being spoon-fed into your phone every day? How could you possibly have success? Well, this right here is what success sounds like. You see, at 7 a.m. when Thomas and I have our weekly call, he's on the phone, I'm on the phone. That's all we're doing. We're not distracted. We're focused. Being present is a present. What? Being present is a present. Are you saying being present is a present? You're just saying it. What? Being present is a present. Think about that for a second. So in that call, we go over the action items that Thomas needs to do every week. In that 6 a.m. call, we go over the action items that Luke Owens needs to do every week. Now, let me just give you a glimpse into some of the items that we have to do at Full Package Media to make that business successful. That's soon to franchise business. By the way, if you're looking to franchise or looking to buy a franchise, that Full Package Media franchise is going to be hot. You should go check that out today, fullpackagemedia.com. It's going to be a hot deal. But here's what happens is, by the way, when I say hot, I mean it's going to be a company where you can easily be able to generate profits on an annual basis of 6 figures in a turnkey business model. It's going to be awesome. So, Full Package Media, pretty incredible deal. Check that out. I mean, what would it like to be? Imagine doing $100,000 a month of gross revenue, taking photos and videos and doing all the photography for real estate for real estate agents. That's repeat business. Imagine what it would be like to be able to do $100,000 a month of gross revenue and to be able to do it at a 30% profit margin. I mean, to make $30,000 a month of profit. What? Yeah, Full Package Media. So this is what he has to do every week. Every week, Mr. Thomas at Full Package Media has to gather objective reviews from real customers. So he has like a set number of objective reviews he's got to gather from real customers. Same thing with Luke Owens with the Hub Gym. 2, we have ads we run on Facebook and retargeting ads and YouTube ads and AdWords. Same thing we do with the Hub. And those ads have to have a no-brainer offer. An offer so good you can't say no to it. They have to have a landing page that makes sense, that works. And we just never turn those ads off. So again, every week we have to get a Google review. Every week we can't turn those ads off. Every week we have to call those freaking leads. We have to call those we have to call those freaking leads. Every time a lead comes in, we have to call it. We have to call that lead. Lead comes in, got to call that lead. And according to Forbes right now, the average person has to be called 5 to 6 times before they'll answer the phone, because people today don't answer the phone unless they know the number. And then we have to text every lead every time. We got to call every lead, text every lead, and email every lead every time, because that is what we have to do every day, because those are called revenue producing activities, RPAs. Now, responding to somebody who doesn't like you on social media, or commenting on Trump or Obama or Pelosi or Elon Musk or anything that could be in the news, the Kardashians, Mr. West, the Kardashians, these are all things that won't pay us. So we don't need to be doing that. In fact, we don't even need to have social media on our phones, because that is not a revenue producing activity. We do need to call our leads. Oh, yes, we need to call our leads. And how many times? Well, at least 5 times every day. Got to text them, call them. Then The Hub Gym, they got to have a daily checklist to make sure that when you go into the gym, it's a pleasant experience, you have a good time, and that the trainers are competent and confident. Now, for the full package media, we have a checklist. We got to make sure that all the photo shoots are done properly, that real estate agents are actually excited. Turns out we have to have a great product. Then, over at the Hub Gym and over at Full Package Media, we got to charge people. We have to stay on top of our accounting. So we have to have a weekly appointment to look at our numbers. We got to make sure our numbers are not drifting. We have to make sure that our numbers are not drifting, which is why we have a weekly time to look at the numbers. Do we look at the numbers at the same time we're calling our leads? No. Do we look at our numbers while we're on our coaching call? No. Do we look at our leads while we are getting Google reviews? No. Do we multitask? No. Because multitask will turn most normal people into idiots. You got to be focused because being present is present. That's right. Well, then at 8 o'clock after the full package meeting, we have our elephant in the room, all staff meeting. And do you know what we do in that meeting? We go over the same revenue producing activities each and every week. And do you know what we do after that meeting? We meet with Score Basketball. And you know what we do at Score Basketball? It's a basketball coaching gym facility that I'm involved with Coach Calvert. And in that meeting, what we do is we go over our revenue producing activities. Oh, there's a theme. There's a theme to this movie. So then we go on. After that, we go talk to Bob about one of his products. See, Bob is a guy, he's an inventor, he has a great product he's come up with, and we're helping Bob with that product. And then after that meeting, I meet with Dr. Joe Lai, the orthodontist, who I've been kind of a marketing partner with for years, the orthodontist, Kirkpatrick and Lai. You can Google search klortho.com, or you can do a Google search for Tulsa orthodontists to see our handiwork there. Then if you Google Tulsa basketball lessons, you can see that I'm not making up that example either, the Score Basketball. I'm not making up the Score Basketball example. I'm not making up the Kirkpatrick and Lai example. Not making up the Hub Gym. And I'm not making up the Full Package Media example either. Then after we meet with Kirkpatrick and Lai, then we have to go meet with Dr. Morrow with MLK Dentistry. Morrow, Lai, and Kitterman Dentistry. And after that, I'm going to meet with Dr. Chad Edwards. And after I meet with Dr. Chad Edwards, and we help him grow his company, revolutionhealth.org. Then we move into our meeting with Colton Dixon, the pop music star, signed to Atlantic Records. He's had many songs in the top 40 of Christian music, a couple number ones overall. And now he's going to be producing some awesome music that will inspire people that you're going to hear on the top 40 radio as well. And then after I meet with Colton Dixon, then I meet with a company called Amerifield. And they are the number one frack sand, the sand that comes from fracking oil and gas, that process. They haul off that stuff. It's called Amerifield. And then after that, you know what I do after that? I go home. And you know why I go home? Because it's in my schedule. But the entire day, I am present, because being present is a present. When you view every day as a present, when you view being present as a present, then every day is really a gift. But if you don't view being present as a present, and you're just this reactionary person who always responds to the most recent email, the most recent call, the most recent text in this world of digital clutter, you will lose. And it is because you are not able to focus on the revenue-producing activities that will help you to produce time freedom and financial freedom. Hopefully that answers the question of how do you design your day. But I don't think it ends the conversation or gives proper context to the conversation if we do not at least discuss the idea of scheduling time for family. Now, you want to schedule time for family. Now, this is something I'm into. I don't know if you guys are into, but I'm into seeing my kids, talking to my wife, seeing my kids. So that's in my schedule. So after I go home, it's in my schedule to spend time with my wife. And then I put it in the calendar. It's in the schedule. It's in the plan. We spend time with my wife, go on the family date thing, take my wife on a date. And, the key to producing 5 kids, right? I mean, you know how scientifically and physically how one person creates 5 kids? Do you know how one person would create 5 kids? Well, you can't. It requires 2. And the two people that produce the kids have to, be horizontal. That's just what has to happen. Things have to happen, biologically speaking, to produce those kids. And you can't do it if you're not physically present. And then when you're making love, you probably don't want to be calling your sales leads. When you're trying to sleep, you probably don't want to have your smartphone on. You're probably doing it. It's probably not a smart idea to have your smartphone on while you're sleeping. When you're making love, you probably don't want to be looking at your smartphone. Now, when you're probably looking at your smartphone, you don't want to be making love. You probably don't want to be making a sales call from the bathroom. You probably don't want to be going on a date with your wife while you're looking at your smartphone. You probably want to be present, because being present is a present, and every day is a gift. If that is the way you live, you must be present. So you got to have time to turn the phone off, time to turn the phone on. There's a time to have that phone on, a time to have that phone off. There's a time to respond to urgent customer service issues, and there's a time to not respond to urgent customer service issues. And that is how you design each and every day to live a life worth living as a proactive, powerful person, as opposed to being a reactive person. My name's Clay Clark. You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on your radio and podcast download. And we like to end every show with a 3, 2, and a 1, and a boom. And so without any further ado, 3, 2, 1. Oh, Dr. Z, you appear via recorded from my smartphone technology. Now we're out of my Hummer, and we're in the studio, my friend. How are you?
I tell you what, that the Hummer bit's kind of funny.
Well, I thought maybe we could do, we've got the Hummer of Love, and we could have like the Porsche of Passion. Or the Porsche Profits.
Oh, I like that.
And you could just, while you're driving, you could pontificate various answers that drivers have to various questions, and you just send me the audio, the MP3 file.
I love it. I think
it's like you're in the car with you.
I think it's a big hit, and
it's probably safer than being in the car with me.
Really, in fairness, your intro was actually very accurate because someone was yelling at you about driving.
Yes.
And as I have said before, and I will stick to my guns.
Yeah. You
are the worst driver in the world.
And I have a confessional I want to share that just shows how far removed from decent driving I really am.
Yeah.
My mother asked if we would like to take the kids out to dinner because my wife was at a cheerleading event this past weekend in St. Louis, and so I was home with the kids.
Yes.
She says, do you want to take Aubrey and Havana out to eat? So I said, sure. So we went out to eat at this place.
So she took 3 and left 2 here.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah, that's
so we're here.
Divide and conquer method.
So there's a place called Santa Fe Steakhouse in Broken Arrow.
Yes.
And I thought, we'll go there. So I pull in, park the car.
Is that the one where you get the peanuts?
I think so. Yeah.
You can just
they're all over the floor.
Yeah.
I love the decor in there. Yeah. So I parked the car, and immediately I parked the car. I realized I can't really get out of the left door because I parked so tight. I'm like, this is dumb. So I said, guys, go back in there. I'm going to repark. So I back out, back in, back out. I end up parking. Things are good. And there's a limo that's a little bit near us that's trying to park, and he has to park. He has to take up like 4 or 5 spaces to park that thing.
Sure, yeah.
And then there's an electrician guy. He's trying to get in his space. They get into a verbal argument. It's like road rage in the parking lot. My kids are trying to wait for a seat. Seriously, it's all happened. And they said the wait would be like 40 minutes. And I said, I don't really want to do that. So we decided to go to Buffalo Wild Wings instead. So I had the kids hop back in the car. So it's my daughter and her 2 friends, my son, my mom were all in the Hummer. And there's a guy behind me that's like, waiting to, he wants me to pull out. He's waiting to pull in.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
waiting for me to
the
pull
move.
out.
It's the move.
Yeah.
It's the parking move.
But the way that he did it, I had no confidence that I could be able to back out and not hit him.
Okay.
And do you know why?
You hit him.
I know. My side mirror on the left side and my rear view mirror are both completely obstructed at all times. And I only knew that because someone pointed that out to me. They're like, you can't even see. And I'm like,
you can't even see.
I'm like, I've never used those mirrors. They go, really?
Well, why would you? You were right. Why would you? I
honestly hadn't used it like a year probably.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went forward over the curb and then into the parking lot of the. So I jumped the parking spot, jumped the barrier, and went into over there to Buffalo Wild Wings. And then I did that, and then I parked the car, and then someone else in the car said, I can't believe your dad just jumped the barrier. And
it's a Hummer. I mean,
and they're like, this is what he does. This is that
kind of jackassery that ensues whenever he's driving.
But then I started laughing this morning because I was getting ready for today's show, and I thought to myself, I have not used my rear view mirror or my side mirror for at least a year.
Well, you brought up an interesting point. One of my pet. Can I go on one of my pet peeves?
I want you to go.
Obviously, your driving is like horrible.
It's not good.
We won't go there that much. But my thing is when you go to a busy place and you're looking for a parking spot and you see someone walk out and they get in their car and so then you do the move. You're posted up to get that parking spot.
Yep.
And they sit there forever.
What
are they doing in their car?
You know what? They're wasting time.
They get in the car, and then just about the time you give up on them, and then all of a sudden their rear view lights come on.
Unless it's a married couple that's making out. Well, that's really the only valid reason, right? I mean, you see a couple in their 30s or 40s, maybe 50s, making out in the parking lot of like a Bed Bath & Beyond. That's great. That's what America's.
I have no issue with that.
We have no issue with that.
The single dude that gets in his pickup truck and then sits there for a long time. You're like, what are they doing in there?
Now, Z, the question that was asked today was how do you design your day, Clay? How do you find time to get everything done? I shared my tips while I was driving the Hummer of Love. Now, I'd like for you to share your tips of how, you have a schedule. Let's say that you've decided that you're going to go out on a hot date tonight at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And then tomorrow night you're going to go out with your son, Bo. You're going to Bo night,
Well.
And then 2 days later you're going to go to Las Vegas, let's say, okay?
Okay.
So you got a date going on. You got a date with your son, and then you've got a trip to Vegas. And then you also have, you got to deposit money at this particular bank. You got things in your calendar.
Right.
How do you possibly say no to everything else?
It's real easy.
What do you do? Walk us through your 18 steps.
Okay, I'm going to everybody
Here we go.
Write this down if you got paper or electronically. Mm-hmm. If you're driving, don't write it down.
One second.
You can think about it.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Okay.
I told you it's only in private times you can call me Shirley. Not the public.
Okay, sorry.
There's a different inside voice, outside voice. Anyway,
Shirley.
I want you to write down this letter N.
Okay, I got it. Write this down. N.
As in nothing.
No. Nothing.
As in Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. And then I want you to write the letter O.
When you say O, you mean like O?
Like a circle.
Oh, like a circle. Nice, a circle.
Like a circle. The circle.
The circle. The circle. Circle. Got it. We got the circle.
Okay, now, make them kind of close together.
Got it.
And then with me, say at the same time, no.
No. What? What if it's a push notification or a family member that's texting? They're like your third cousin twice removed, and they just have to reach you right now about some question that doesn't relate to your. No one's going to be at. It's not a medical situation here. We're not talking about a medical situation. We're talking about a life or death
medical emergency.
But it's an emergency in their mind.
In their mind.
You know what I mean? People that everything's urgent.
I know. I know it is.
Urgent.
There are a handful of people.
Yep.
That have that lane reserved for them to be able to do that with me, but it's only a handful.
And you have a certain number of people.
Correct.
Now, I was researching this guy. They call him Andrew. Maybe you're not familiar with this guy. His name is Jesus. It spells it Jesus.
Well, that's just a silly way to spell it.
So or some have called it Jesus. Whoever this guy's, and apparently he had 12 people,
12
apostles. 12 homies that he hung out
disciples.
with. But not disciples. But not like 1,200.
Not like 1,200.
But, how could he possibly...
But he would talk to 1,200 sometimes.
How could he possibly change the world and not have, 1,200 direct points of contact?
Well, that's what you do. And one of the things that I would really recommend people out there is if there's anything you're doing in your current day that you can get somebody else to do to free up your time, that's very important. If you do the entrepreneurship, a lot of it is time. That's probably the biggest complaint we get, the biggest questions we get. I don't have enough time. Did you get this done, Billy? I didn't have enough time.
I agree with this.
Did you get your SEO done? Did you get your whatever it is? Yeah, articles written. I mean, for one thing, I didn't have the time.
Did you get reviews? I just didn't have time. I did not have the time.
Yeah, and what happens is that you have to take control. I know this sounds mean. Take control of your day by saying no to what other people want you to do.
Now, I heard a sermon that was delivered by T.D. Jakes, the guy I listen to every morning.
Great.
And he had an awesome sermon. Okay, he's talking about being exceptional is a decision. You have to choose to be exceptional. You have to decide to do things in a way that's counterintuitive for the rest of the world. If you want to get disproportionately awesome results, you must do things that awesome people do and not things that everybody else does.
Correct.
And somehow he got off on a tangent talking about how he has this upcoming conference and how he's not going to bring it to you. You have to come to him. And he said, a lot of people on social media will email in saying, could you bring the conference to Atlanta? Could you bring it to Vegas? Could you bring it to L.A.? Could you bring it to Canada? Could you bring it to New York? And he says, no. And he was just being kind of funny. He's like, listen, I see all of you up there on Twitter, on the social media, emailing me, people asking me all the time, can we take it? Can we do a world tour? He says, let me explain how this works. I've got a group of people, 1,000 people, employees, video people, producers, editors, audio people, crews, lights, sound, speakers. We've built a building. We can't move it. It's easier for you to spend $400 on Southwest to come here and to go back home with the knowledge than it is for me to come to you. Quit asking me to bring it to you. Buy a ticket.
Buy a ticket.
Now, I want to play the little audio excerpt as he was talking about exceptional people versus ordinary. And I want you to break this down in the context of saying no. And that pushback that we sometimes can get when we learn to say no.
So Jesus, who is exceptional, is having a conversation with ordinary. And exceptional and ordinary always have a conflict. Anytime exceptional people dwell in the midst of ordinary thinking people, there's always going to be conflict.
So, Z, when you say to somebody, I've seen you do this before. There was one bureaucracy that you and I were meeting with at one point, and they wanted to meet again. They said, let's meet again. You and I were meeting. I'll be very general and vague. We were meeting and revolved with a real estate purchase. And if you remember, I was the person who let you know about the potential deal. It was a real estate deal. And they wanted to go, I think, see the property to decide if they wanted to move forward or something like that. And I think we had met them twice.
Okay.
And it was like the third, this is the time where the big cheese is meeting the other big cheese. The two cheeses are meeting. And the person kind of wanted to end the meeting with like, well, hey, let's send me some numbers and we'll meet again or something like that. And I'll never forget. Do you remember what you said?
Tell me.
You said,
I think I do, but
it was awesome. I wrote it down. I'm like, oh, that's good.
That's good.
You wrote it down. You said, well, what will we meet about? And they said, well, we want to think about it and pray about it. And, if you can just send us those numbers, let's go ahead and book another time to meet. And you'd said something like, well, I don't remember what you was so clever. It was so funny. It was something like, well, you can pray about it, but I won't be there because we just need to decide whether we're doing it or not or something like that. It was like really, I don't remember what it was.
Death by meetings. I tell you what, so many people spend so much of their time in pointless meetings just to have a meeting because someone told them you should have a meeting.
So think of all the meetings that you don't go to that everyone else goes to. I'm going to tee up a whole bunch of them. You don't go to networking events. Why?
No.
How about every men's breakfast that you've been invited to? What if you all went to all of them at just once a year?
Yeah, no, never.
You would spend your entire time.
Well, here's what happens when you go to those.
Yeah.
Then you have they come up to you and they grab your hand.
Yep.
They shake it. They look in the eye.
Yep.
The other hand, they have a business card.
Yep. But usually it's like a realtor.
And they want to set up a meeting.
And they want to talk to you about their new MLM or their new real estate or something they're doing, a startup. They want to meet. Right. Or they'll ask the successful. This is my favorite. They will ask the super successful person to speak, and when that person speaks, they all get mad. As an example, I got asked years ago to speak at a major university, and the guy who spoke the same day was a billionaire.
Wow.
So
There's
I'm
not many of those.
So I'm speaking. It's myself. Then there's another guy. So it's kind of like millionaire, multimillionaire, and then a billionaire speaking. Okay.
Gotcha.
And so they had me go first to kind of, warm up the crowd, have some fun with the kids, the college students.
Oh, the kids.
And one of the college students is like, I have a question. Like, sure. Hey, do you, Mr. Clark, what do you think your role in creating an environment of social justice and improving the community at large? What do you think the role of DJ Connection is in creating a better culture for the community at large? And I said, our community? He said, yeah. I said, how big of a community? He says, well, it's Tulsa, I think, it's about 500,000, sir. And I'm like, so you're saying what role does DJ Connection have in Tulsa or the Oklahoma or what? He said, well, yeah, Tulsa, And I said, I never thought about that and won't ever think about that again. The market votes with their dollars, and people pay us if we wow them. I mean, if brides hire us to DJ for their wedding, and as long as they think we're the best deal and the most entertaining, they'll hire us again. And then the money that I make and our employees make, we spend in the local economy buying goods and services that we want to buy. And the guy goes, yeah, but a lot of people are buying things on Amazon now. So what role do you think you have as an owner to buy local? I said, I don't.
I
If
don't.
the local businesses had more of a compelling argument, I'm sure more of my staff would buy things locally, but they just buy all their Christmas presents on Amazon. I can't make them. And this guy just was all hung up right there.
Oh, yeah.
So then the next speaker, they said, "Sir, how did you get your product into your first 100 stores?" See, do you want to guess what his answer was? You want to just speculate?
He drove him?
That's what he sees. He goes, "I literally called every single local retail, every retail store in America of this size or more, and then I drove to them." And they're like, "But did you have an appointment?" No.
No.
Have you ever thought about creating like a click funnel? No.
No.
Have you ever thought about, "Sir, isn't there a better way to market on social media?" No. And he just was like, "Listen, I called them all." And they're like, "Well, did you have an appointment?" No. Next question. "Sir, are you in a do not call state?" And he was like, "Ma'am, I'll tell you what, I'm old enough to be your grandfather. And when I was calling them leads, and we didn't have a do not call list, and even if there was a do not call list, I'd still call that list."
Because they were businesses.
Right. But it's just, I feel like every student who asked a question left upset at the guy who told the truth.
Well, there's this mindset of this kind of a shift. It's kind of funny, all these social justice. And there is a move, and the reason why the move's successful, because particularly the younger folks, and I say millennials, I don't want to pigeonhole everybody into the category.
People under 80.
They care about that.
Right.
Guys our age don't. But
True.
it's fascinating whenever you really research some of these companies like Tom Shoes.
Right.
You buy a pair, they give a pair away.
Yep.
Well, they put a bunch of companies in Africa out of business.
Right.
They couldn't sell shoes.
No.
They get all these free shoes.
Also to buy a pair and give a pair of shoes. If you think about that, they buy a pair, give a pair. That's a really great offer. And think about all of the American companies that were displaced by their success, not just overseas, all the American shoe companies. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're going to sell a shoe if you're going to sell buy a pair, give a pair, and you're going to have this viral success, that's going to make somebody else have an equally viral not success.
Right. So which one do you pay attention to? It's
Right.
kind of like, it's business, folks. I love what Jack Welch says.
Oh, come on now.
I went and so I'm in
Maybe
person.
Center, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, I was at the Maybe Center. It sure was.
Okay.
He said he had a group come up to him one years ago, and they said, "Mr. Welch, can we have some of your time?" Yes, that was appropriate. They went through the proper channels. They said, here's what we want to do. We want to build a green light bulb.
Light bulb.
A light bulb that is better for the environment than the ones we currently have.
It's hot.
And Jack says, "Okay, how much is it?" And it was about 10 times the cost of the light bulbs that they currently had.
So what did Jack Tastic do?
Jack said, "We are not going to do that."
What?
Was it because he didn't like the environment?
No.
Was it because he hates the color green?
No. Because they would go to business. It's not viable.
Right. So then he said, we can't make enough money if we build that light bulb. We can't sell it for what we need to sell it for. No one wants to buy it. Therefore, we'll go out of business. Therefore, what good can we do? What we're going to do is keep making light bulbs the way we do, keep selling a lot of them, and then the money that you make that I pay you, i.e. your salary, you can take a portion of that and go help the world in whatever capacity.
There was a young woman who was at that college event that I was speaking to, and she was talking about solar panels with this billionaire.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. He asked the woman, he said, suppose I did put solar panels on my house in Oklahoma to reduce my carbon footprint down to zero, how many years would it take for me to recoup the costs? And she says, "Oh, well, there's a government credit and all this." And he's like, I repeat the question. How many, and Andrew, I remember you heard, we had an interview where we've also talked to someone about this. And did you remember the math on how long it would take for the solar panels to actually, like if you reduced your bills as a result of putting the solar panels on your house, how long it would take for you to recoup the costs of the solar panels?
If I remember right, it was 15 to 20 years.
It was almost 20 years to recoup the costs of the solar panel.
By the time you get the cost recouped, you're going to need new solar panels.
Right. And the person we talked to explained to us that they should last about 15 years. So it was just that he's like, "Well, ma'am, I don't think that's a viable product." And she's like, "But the government can do it." He's like, that's why it's the government. It's a subsidy. And who pays for it? I do. My profits.
I do, yes.
Right. Now,
we pay for it. Oh.
Here is another controversial thought. Again, this is all about how do you get stuff done. You don't want to argue with people about how life works when they're wrong, right? That you don't waste your time arguing with people about how the market works.
Correct.
You don't argue with people about religion.
No, correct.
You don't argue politics.
Correct.
Do you vote?
Yes.
Do you argue with people randomly throughout your day about social media on social media about politics?
No, that's why I'm not on social media.
So I'm going to cue up this quote. Now this quote, when I hit play, I've had at least a dozen people say that this particular quote is unethical. I'm going to hit play.
Okay.
It's the guy who started the gravity blanket. Now this crazy cat, this guy's awesome. He runs ads for products that he's never made and can't make, just to see if people will want to buy it. And if people want to buy it, then he makes it. So here we go. Let me cue this
It's a move.
Here we go. Why would you advise everybody out there to start test marketing something to, quote unquote, dummy landing pages before you even have a viable product that works yet?
Because that allows you to assess demand. I mean, you could have the best in the world, and if no one, in your mind, and if no one's interested in buying it or they're not reacting to the ads, then it's actually not that great of an idea.
So that's Mike Grillo saying that if you think you have a great idea and you run ads and people don't actually buy it, it's probably not that great of an idea.
Amen. And maybe it is a great idea, and you just haven't been able to express how awesome an idea it is.
Do you think it's unethical to run ads for a product that you can't actually... I mean, if somebody clicks it, they're not going to charge them or anything, but if a consumer clicks the ad and it's just going to say we're out of stock, do you think that's unethical?
No, I don't think that's unethical.
But there's a lot of people that question the ethics. It's usually people that have no sales. I'd say it's not. It's not usually. It's always people with no sales.
Well, it's it's a form of marketing. I mean,
it's a move.
It's a move.
It's a move.
It's a move. I mean, it's kind of putting out there 40 names of titles to a book, and you haven't written any 40 of them.
Well, that was a Napoleon Hill move.
That was a Napoleon Hill move.
It's a great move.
And then what you do is which one gets clicked on the most, that's the book you write.
Tim Ferriss took the cover of his book and wrapped real books that were in real bookstores. So he went to a bookstore, grabbed a best-selling book, put his book cover on the jacket, wrapped the book in his jacket, just to see how many people would pick up the title 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah, and that wasn't the only title he had. He had a bunch of them out there. Yeah,
one was like how to get rich. Something like how to get rich with drug dealing or something crazy like that. It was like a crazy.
See what we're going to click on.
Yeah,
I wonder how many people clicked on that one.
He figured out what book he would write based upon what title people wanted to buy.
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that's unethical.
I think it was called Adventures in Drug Dealing.
I mean, the only thing is bad about that is you're going to probably irritate a lot of drug dealers out there or drug dealer wannabes.
Do you know how and by the way, do you know how he became an expert once he realized that people wanted to buy the book, The 4-Hour Workweek? Do you know how he became an expert in this idea?
Studied.
He said he went and just got 4 books about time management, read it, and consolidated it into a book called The 4-Hour Workweek.
There you go.
There it is. Deep thoughts. Now,
deep thoughts.
Now,
do you think it's unethical?
No, and I think that the other thing I think that's hindering somebody out there, probably this person asking this question, is you have a bunch of stuff on your schedule that Z does not have on his schedule. So I'm going to tee up some things you don't have on your schedule.
Okay.
And I just want you to break it down. I think maybe you, Mr. Listener or Mrs. Listener, you probably check LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, was it Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Gmail. You probably check, Mr. Listener, Mrs. Listener, the average American, probably check 6 social media accounts a day. 6, bro.
6.
Do you ever check 6?
No, I don't have 6.
Did you check 1, 2, 4, 0?
Every now and then I'll pop into LinkedIn.
Okay,
that's what I want to do. It's a business deal.
Okay, so you maybe check 1 out of 6. Now, I think a lot of listeners out there, you particularly liked the Game of Thrones series.
Yes, I did.
And the final edition of it's coming out here, final season.
It starts in April of 19. And
April. you blocked out time to watch that.
Yeah, I DVR'd it, but I would also have little watch parties. So
yeah, but I mean, that was amazing to me that you did that.
Right,
but you don't watch.
It's kind of like you're in a Patriots game.
Right, but you don't watch every single show.
No,
like you don't watch every show that's on the internet.
I know the average American's over 5 hours of TV.
According to Nielsen, right now, the average American between Netflix and Amazon and TV is watching 5.2 hours a day of video content.
It's just crazy.
Mm. So you don't spend 5.2 hours a day on the TV?
No, sir, I don't.
You don't spend 2.3 hours a day?
How could you get anything done? I mean, think about that. That's almost like a job. Right. I mean, the average person, if you take the amount of TV they're doing, the social media updates and haranguing and all that, just to update it, keep it going. I mean, that's a full-time job. That's probably 8 hours, right?
It is. It's 5.2 plus 2.3, so yeah, it's 7.5 hours a day. Now, you don't typically have like daily vices that you like. I don't see you vaping a lot.
No, sir. I don't.
You know what I mean?
I don't vape.
But I mean, seriously, if you have a bad habit, like if you just have to go play the slots for an hour every day,
right?
I mean, that's all of a sudden. That's
a thing.
That's a thing. If you had to, Andrew, I'm sure you've seen people who have to leave every 4 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour to go vape.
Oh yeah, vape or smoke.
That
Yep.
probably eats up a lot of time right there.
A lot of money
and
too.
money too.
Yeah.
Now, Z, what else do you not do? You, I know that you're used to doing you, but what else do you not do that most people are doing?
Well, I think one thing you said on there, a lot of people are checking 6 accounts, but the insidious part about that, which is really sad, is they have the push notifications on.
Right.
So they're being reminded. It's kind of like that Pavlov with the dog, little bell, ring, ling, 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 and they start, saliva.
And it ruins people's ability to focus too.
It ruins their ability to focus, and it's annoying when you're around them. It's like ding, 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 ding.
You know, the last time I saw you get really mad
was
you bought a laptop and somebody set up the push notifications to be on the laptop.
Oh,
and I remember watching your face, and you held it in. You didn't yell or anything, but you looked at that screen like, get me a new computer. Who ruined it?
How dare you do that? So that's one thing. But as far as what people do to waste their time, a lot of it is they're letting people have access. You got to have a to-do list. You got to have what's the most important thing to get done.
So
today.
You get a to-do list. Step one, got it.
Step one, you got to have your calendar, your schedule, and stick to it. Okay,
make the calendar stick to it.
And if you say I don't have one, you have one.
Come on,
not a really good one then.
Right.
Right. Other people fill it in right as they come along. Turn off those push notifications. Yeah, set aside a little bit of time every now and then throughout the day that you can, if it's really important to you. I would say, knowing what your friend had for breakfast is not that big of a deal.
Oh, frick.
I don't know.
Frick, I knew I had to change something.
Or your friend, with the screen on there, should I scramble them or fry my eggs this morning? I don't think you need to be involved in that high-level decision-making of your friend's breakfast, okay?
You also don't hang around a lot of dysfunctional people consistently.
Oh, bro, man.
You don't fill your calendar up with like, well, now to have dysfunctional lunch with a dysfunctional person A. Now let's have a dinner with dysfunctional person B. And when you have been in times of your life where you are stuck in a doom loop of dealing with somebody who's never happy, well, how does that go?
It's horrible. And then you try to get out of it. The more you let them in, it's like the harder it is to get rid of them. I remember once when I was at Thrive headquarters, and we had a young man there that had been, shattering or there, kind of just to take it all in and wanted to kind of, somehow or another maybe get business coach steps, start a business. I mean, you could tell he was just bright-eyed and excited and everything. Yeah. And so I come wheeling out. We just, that's when we were recording there in that studio. I came wheeling out there to go to the bathroom, and he stops me, and he's, he's like, oh, hey, Dr. Z, I'm, Billy. And he sticks out his hand to shake it and everything. He goes, man, I'd love to visit with you, and I'd love to have your thoughts on some stuff I'm thinking about. And is there any time we could do lunch? And I looked at him, I said, Billy, and this is going to sound so mean.
Oh, Billy.
I said, oh, Billy. I said, no, that's not going to happen. Thanks for asking, and have a nice day. And I just walked onto the bathroom.
And I remember you doing this because I heard about it, because the person immediately was like, he told me he wouldn't meet me. I thought we were a team. And I was like, well, if everybody who worked for us could put things on his calendar, then the org chart would have changed and he would be at the bottom.
Right.
So and then there was another time where someone said, hey, Z, I sent you a text and you never responded. I remember you looked at them directly and said, that was intentional.
That was my if someone doesn't respond to a text message, that is the response.
But it was funny because you're like, that was intentional.
Yeah.
Like they thought they were all like going to try to call you out and make this thing. And I just think if you're out there today and you're struggling to get things done, just listen to this podcast a couple times. Make a list of some of the things that Z is not doing on a daily basis, and make sure you're not wasting your time doing things that don't need to be done. And see, we like to end every show with a boom. Are you ready?
Oh yes.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.